polar coordinates. Recall that in a rectangular coordinate system, a point is represented by an ordered pair of numbers x and y. This representation is unique. Unique means that if we have an ordered pair 1 and 5, there is only one and only one number. I mean, one and only one point corresponds to this coordinates set. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So there is one and only one point. And this point has only one and only one coordinates representation. So that means the representation is unique. Now we would like to talk about polar coordinates. Polar coordinates. In polar coordinates, we have a pole that is a point and a polar axis. So we have a point, we have a pole and a polar axis. Usually that polar axis is the positive x-axis. A point. So this is the polar coordinates system. We have a pole and we have an axis. Now a point in polar coordinate system is represented by the distance r from the pole and an angle theta. For example, I have a pole, the polar axis, and I have a point, let's say here, P has coordinates r and theta. First coordinates represents the distance r, and theta is the angle. So if I connect with the pole with the center, we can say that this is 1 and 2. So we can write that this one has distance 2, and if we could identify the angle, measure that angle, or kind of approximate that angle, this angle is 90-degree angle. So this would be, let's say, 60-degree angle. We would probably need to measure. So this point has coordinates 2 and 60 degree. The point has coordinates 2 and 60 degree. Now, the distance r can be negative, and if the distance is negative, that means the point is on the other side of the pole. So for example, if I have coordinates -3 and let's say 45 degree, so we need to have a pole, we need to have the axis, polar axis, and we measure 45 degree. So here is 90-degree angle, so 45 is right in the middle, 45 degree. So now it would be 1, 2, 3, but we said have negative, so that means in the opposite side, so right here. So the point is 1, 2, 3 units from the pole in a negative direction, -3 and 45 degree, that's the point. So when r is negative, that means the distance, the point is on the other side of the pole. And the unit we measure either centimeters or millimeters. This is up to specify unit. Now, polar representation is not unique. What does that mean? That means that one point can have several polar coordinates. For example, if I have a point that has 2 and let's say pi over 4. Pi over 4 we know is 45 degree. So here is my point, 45 degree, 90 degree. We can write that this is 45 degree, and we would have 1 and 2. So here is that point. We have 45 degree, pi over 4. And this point, we can also write that this point can have negative angle right here, negative angle. So we can write that this is 2 from the pole, and this negative angle is almost 360 degree minus that 45, or minus 2 pi. And 2 pi, so full rotation would be 2 pi. 2 pi in terms of fourth is 8/4 over 8/4. So we are short of 1, so this one is 7 pi over 4. 7 pi over 4, I mean in a negative direction. That would represent the same point, this point right here. And we could have also write it down as a full rotation, right? We can go in positive direction. We can go in positive direction. Positive direction, this angle. In positive direction, this angle is 360 degree plus this angle what we have. 360 or full rotation is 2 pi plus this angle. So this can be written, the point can also be written as 2 and 8 plus 1 is 9 pi over 4. So that means that the representation is not unique. One point has several coordinates, can have different coordinates. So now we have example. We can look also at another example. For example, if I have that point has coordinates, polar coordinates, -2 and pi over 4. So let's try to plot it. So here is my pole, here is my x-axis, pi over 4. Pi over 4. Pi over 4 is right here, but we are on the other side. We are on the other side, and 2 units, so it's gonna be 1 unit, 2 units. Here is my point P, has coordinates -2 and pi over 4. We can also calculate this angle. So this one is 90 degree, and this is 45 degree. So I have 90 degree and 45 degree. We can write this, that this point has coordinates 2, and in that case negative angle, so it's gonna be -135 degree, or we can use pi. So in terms of pi, this is pi over 2 or 2 pi over 4, and this one is pi over 4. So we can add them, so this can be written also that this is 2, and the -3 pi over 4. And we go in negative direction. We can also represent this in terms of positive angle, so we can find this angle. Here is 180 degree or pi, and then we have pi over 4 because this is in the middle, pi over 4. So 1 pi over 4, 1 pi in terms of 4 is 4 over 4, and pi over 4, so this can also be written as 2 and 5 pi over 4. So we would have found the angle 5 pi over 4. Here is pi, Here's 1/4, so 5 pi over 4, and then we write the distance 2, 1 and 2, so this is the point P. So that shows us that one point can have several representation, several different polar coordinates. Okay, so now we have example 1. Plot each given point in polar coordinates. So we have 2 and 90 degree. So we need to have a pole axis, polar axis, and then we need to measure 90 degree angle. 90 degree angle from here is right here. 90 degree angle. And we take 2 units from the pole. The distance of 2 units, 1 and another 2. Here is my point that has 2 and 90 degree polar coordinates. Now we have B. So the same question is plot the point. Plot the point in polar coordinates. Plot the point in polar coordinates, and we have B that the point is 4 and 3 pi over 4 is the angle. So we need to have the pole, we need to have the axis, polar axis, and then we measure the angle 4 pi over 3. So here is 90 degree, here's 180. 180 degree in terms of pi is pi, and we are talking in thirds, so pi is 3 over 3, so it's 3 pi over 4. This is pi, or 3 pi over 4, 3 pi over 3, I'm sorry, 3 pi over 3. 1 pi is 3 over 3. And now we need to have 4 of them, so 1/3 more. So the whole pi is divided into 3, 1 and 3, so right here. Right here. So this is the axis that represents, so this angle is 4 pi over 3. We added 1/3 to pi. And now we need to measure 4 distances. So 1, 2, 3, 4 right here. So the point with polar coordinates 4 and 4 pi over 3 is right here. See? Plot each point with those polar coordinates. So we have -3 and -pi. So we have the pole, we have the polar axis, and now we need to find the angle -pi. Negative, we opening in the negative direction. It's positive direction, it's this way. Negative direction, we keep opening the bottom way. So this goes negative direction. So half pi or 90 degree, and pi we know is 180 degree. So the angle -pi is right here. The angle -pi is right here, and now we are on the opposite side of the pole. This would be the angle in positive direction because that's the negative, and now we need to be on the opposite side of the pole, so we are measuring 3 units, 1, 2, 3 units. So here is the point with coordinates -3 and -pi. And we can also see that the same point, one more time, so I have the origin, the pole, and polar axis. And now I need to find the angle -pi. Negative pi angle is in open negative direction. So if we have 3 and negative pi, that would be on the arm of the angle. But we have negative 3, so we need to go to the opposite side of the pole, so we are on this arm. And we measure 1, 2, 3, so we are in negative 3 and negative pi. And we have one more point to plot. D is -2 and 120 degree. We always start with the pole and the polar axis. And now we measure 120 degree. So here is 90 degree angle. Here is 180 degree angle. So 90 plus 30 degree gives me 120. So I need to have 30 degree angle right here, 45. So 30 degree is gonna be right here. So this is the angle 120 degree. This is the angle 120 degree. So if my coordinates were 2, positive 2 and 120, I would have measured 1 and 2 on this arm. But my coordinates are negative. That means I'm on opposite side of the pole. So right here I need to measure on opposite side and measure 1 and 2 distances. So here is the point that has -2 and 120 degree. The procedure for plotting the point is first draw an axis, polar axis. We have the point and a polar axis. Then find the angle, whatever angle is given, 120 degree right here, and then find the distance. If the distance is negative, you are on opposite side of the pole. Here is my pole, opposite side, and measure 1 and 2 distances. 1 and 2 distances. And if you are on positive 2, that they would be 1 and 2. Or we can plot another point here. Let's say that we have point B that has coordinates 3 and 120 degree. So the same as before, we have 120 degree angle, and now we are on the same side. So we measure 1, 2, and 3 distances. So point B with 3 and 120 degree is right here. Example 2. Plot each point and find other coordinates with r and theta, positive r and theta between negative angle of theta between 0 and negative 2 pi, and b, r is negative and theta is between 0 and 2 pi, and then we have r is positive and theta is between 2 pi and 4 pi. And we have first example, we have the point that has coordinates 5. We have the first point that has coordinates 5 and the angle 2 pi over 3. So let's draw the point. So we have the pole, we have the polar axis, and now we need to find 3 pi over 2. So here's 90 degree, here would be 180 degree, this is 180, so it's 180 is pi, and we are less than pi. Pi in terms of 3 is 3 over 3. 1 whole is 3 over 3. And now we have 2/3, so we are short of 1/3. So right here is my angle. So this is the angle 2 pi over 3. And now we measure 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 units. And here is my point with these coordinates 5 and 2 pi over 3. So now they ask us to find this negative with negative angle, with negative distance. So it needs to be on opposite side. So we need to specify what is this angle. What is this angle? And the angle, oh, I'm sorry. First we have positive distance and negative angle. So first for A, we are finding this negative angle. What is that angle? So here up to this point is pi, and this one is 1/3 pi. 1/3, so whole pi the measure here is pi, and this little part is 1/3 plus 1/3 pi. We know that 1 pi is 3/3, and this one we have plus 1/3 pi. So this angle is 4/3 pi, or 4 pi over 3. But this is in negative direction, so this angle is negative pi over negative 4/3 pi. So for A, the different representation with positive r is gonna be 5, and negative angle, so that's the angle minus 4 pi over 3. That gives me the same representation. Okay, the same representation. We can always check if we would like to plot this point. We have the polar pole. Oops. We can always check if I would like to plot this point. So I would have had polar axis, and now I'm looking for the angle minus 4/3, so minus pi minus 4/3 is gonna be right here. So that's the angle minus 4/3, and now I have 5, so it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, so it gives me exactly the same point. Okay, so now we need to find B with negative r and positive angle, negative r and positive angle, to have exactly the same representation. So positive angle and with negative r. So positive angle will be right here, this angle. We need to have this angle, positive angle right here, this angle, positive angle right here. So we need to start with positive direction up to this angle. That's a positive angle, and now we're going negative direction, so we would go to this point. So we need to identify what is this angle. What is this angle? So the whole rotation is 2 pi, and this angle is pi over 3. So we are short in full rotation of pi over 3. So we can calculate this, that we have 2 pi minus pi over 3, or 2 pi in terms of 3 is 6 pi over 3 minus pi over 3. That gives me 5 pi over 3. So the angle 5 pi over 3 is gonna be right here, this angle. And now I have negative direction, so I'm going to this point. So the B is gonna be minus 5, and my angle 5 pi over 3. And one more, we need to find positive angle, but after one rotation, 2 pi to 4 pi. So the same representation, we still want to have the same point. We still want to have the same point. So after one full rotation, is gonna be right here. That's right here, this angle up to this point. One more rotation. It's more than 2 pi and less than 4 pi. So 2 pi, we need to go one full rotation is 2 pi, and then this pi over 3. So to find this angle, we need to go 2 pi, 1 2 pi, and then plus 2 pi over 3. 2 pi in terms of 3 is 6 pi over 3 plus 2/3. 6 plus 2 is 8 pi over 3. 8 pi over 3. So 8 pi over 3 would give me the same angle right here, this angle, right here, this angle, and I would go 1, 2, 3, 5 points. So for C, we have that this distance r is 5, and the angle we just find it is 8 pi over 3. Let's do another example, the same question but another point. Plot the point and find the coordinates for which we have the specified conditions. So first we will plot the point. So to plot the point we go on the x-axis. We have a pole and polar axis. Now we need to find 4/3 pi. So here is 1 pi. 1 pi is 4 over 4, and now we are short of, we have 3/4, so we are short of 1/3, so 1/4 is right here. So here is half, and 1/4 is right here. So 3/4 angle is right here, 3/4 pi. And we need to measure 4 distances, 1, 2, 3, and 4. Right here is my point. Right here is my point. 4/3, so here is pi over 4, the small one is pi over 4, and here is pi over 4 as well, between those two. Okay, so that's my point. Now we need to have the positive r and negative angle. So we are identifying the negative angle up to the same terminal arm. So we are finding this angle, negative this angle. So up to here is negative pi, or just pi direction, and then pi 4 more, pi over 4 more. So we have pi and 1/4 of pi. Whole pi or whole 1 is 4 over 4. And then we have 1/4, so this one is 5 pi over 4. But we are going in negative. Here's my 1 pi, and this 1/4 is right here. So we are going in negative direction, so it's negative pi over 4. So A, R positive, so it's 4, and angle negative minus 5 pi over 4. Negative 5 pi over 4 is right here, and then positive 4 units, 1, 2, 3, 4 units, we will have the same point. Now we need to do B. We need to be in a negative. In a negative, R must be negative. So I need to have this part. So I need to find this angle. And angle must be positive. So I'm looking for angle. I'm looking for this angle from here up to here. If I can find, that's a positive angle. And then I need to have 4 direction, negative direction, I would go on the other side. So the coordinates is going to be -4, and we need to figure out what is that angle. And that angle, the red angle on my diagram, the whole rotation is going to be 2 pi, and we are short of 1/4. So we have 2 pi, and we subtract 1/4 pi. 2 in terms of 4 is 8 over 4, and then I subtract 1/4, because this is angle pi over 4 in the middle, right? So we are short of, if we complete full rotation, we are right here, and we are short of 1/4. So this gives me 7 pi over 4. So this B representation is -4 and 7 pi over 4. We can always check by plotting this point if I get exactly the same point what I have given. 7 pi over 4 angle is right here, and negative direction we need to go 1, 2, 3, and 4. Its point is the same. And for C, we have positive angle, positive distance, but we need to go more than one rotation. So we need to go to my black arm, to this arm, going one more around. One around, I'm going one around, and I stop at this angle, at the same angle. So we need to identify. So this angle, more than one rotation, is full rotation is 2 pi and plus my original angle right here. 2 pi plus my original angle is right here. So the angle is gonna be 2 pi plus my original angle 3 pi over 4. So 2 in terms of 4 is 8, 4, and we have pi, and then I have plus 3 pi over 4. 8 plus 3 gives me 11 pi fourths. So that's the C representation, that's the angle. So for C, my distance is still 4, and the angle we just calculated 11 pi over 4. And one more example. Example 3. We are doing the same problem for different point. So let's find this point. So let's find this point. We have the pole and polar axis, and we need to find 4 pi angle. So if I'm going once, this is my 2 pi, and twice is 4 pi. So this is 2 pi, and one more rotation. Here is my 4 pi angle. It's finished at the same point, at the same axis. So now I need to go not on the positive direction. I'm going opposite side of the pole. So in the negative direction right here. And I measure 1, 2, 3 units. So here is my given point, -3 and 4 pi. So now they ask us to identify positive angle, positive direction, positive distance, and negative angle. So to have this side from my polar axis, I need to go negative angle. So I'm looking for this angle. This angle is nothing else but negative pi. If I go negative pi, then I go positive 1, 2, 3 distance from my pole. So for A, the representation is 3 and negative pi. I will get the same point. And for B, they ask for negative distance but positive angle. So negative distance is going to be on opposite. So my angle must end up on this side. So this can be 2 pi or this can be less than 2 pi. So we need to have 0 angle. 0 angle is right here, and now I'm going opposite side. So it's going to be right here. So -3 and 0 angle. And for C, they ask me to go 1 rotation. They ask me to go 1 rotation, so I need to go 1, 2 pi, and finish on this side as well. So it's 3 pi. 1 pi, 2 pi, and 3 pi is right here. So the angle is 3 pi, and R needs to be positive, is 3 and 3 pi. 3 pi angle is right, is full rotation, and then right here. It's already a little bit full rotation, and I need to finish right here. So what is that red angle? So I'm opening I'm opening my angle, I go one rotation, and then I finish here, and then one more up to pi. So 2 pi plus pi is 3 pi, and we go in positive direction.